Hey everybody, this is Saline County Hardliners coming back at you again. Tonight we got a special guest, a friend of ours here in Saline County who's doing the fight for the uh, trucking associate the truckers of America who are getting stomped on. It's Shannon Everett. He's been on several podcasts. You might have seen him on Steve Bannon's War Room, Candy Cox's Arkansas First Report, and he is the co-founder of American Truckers United, which has become a national organization and making a lot of noise in around the country, Washington D.C. And tonight we're going to talk about this problem with illegal aliens driving with uh, no CDLs or bad or fictitious CDLs, I believe, and just really running our trucking industry here in this country. And with everybody wanting to, we're wanting to shut down the border. Well, he was unsuccessful, basically unsuccessful with the Arkansas legislature, which we are ashamed of and really upset with that they didn't. Well, they didn't help him out at all and blocked him. But he's got a lot of traction nationally, and I think it's going to come back and hit him in the face. But Shannon, I appreciate you being here tonight, and tell us about all this going on. A lot of people don't know about all this trucking stuff, but it's really coming to a national attention.
Yeah, hey, good evening, Keith. Glad to be here. Glad to finally get on the Hardliners here and talk to you all about some real Saline County issues. And one of them is, we have Interstate 30 that runs through Saline County, and your wife and my wife and everybody's families drive up and down that highway. And I believe that we have a right to have a say in who we allow to drive up and down the interstate amongst our families and friends and our constituents. And so, last year, early last year, we passed that resolution there first in the Saline County Republican Women's Committee and then in the Saline County Committee. And so it's really important to understand exactly how this started, because it just started by getting up and speaking, and
Yeah.
and I know there's a lot of people in our county and that probably watch your show that might have an issue that's not related to trucking, but might have an issue that they really care about and that they're passionate about. And I would just urge all of you, like, answer whatever that call is that you feel like is on you. There's a reason that's there.
Yeah.
And I got to see a miracle because I answered mine. And so, yeah, is it awkward at first? Yeah, absolutely. Standing up in front of the committee and giving speeches when all this first started was kind of weird, but that's how people have to be educated. People have to know what's going on. You have to educate your peers. We have to educate these politicians, and then we've got to get involved in the process. So I've been really excited to do that and be a part of that over the last couple of years in our Saline County Republican Party, and I look forward to doing it a lot more. What's going on now is, there was actually a wreck just yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It might have been the day before, but in Thomasville, Alabama, there's two guys. They were here on work visas, didn't speak any English. They come up on a red light, and the truck never even hits its brakes, and it's an awful scene. It's like something out of a horror movie, where this truck just plows through these four-stop cars, kills one young lady, kills a high school football coach, injures four other people. Just the day before that, I'd received a phone call, and I get, this thing has become national now, so I get a lot of phone calls from our American truck driver community, from guys that own trucking companies that are struggling, but also every once in a while I get phone calls from these crash victims. And that happened this week, and I got a phone call about the crash of James Harper. He was a construction worker in West Virginia. He was about 25 years old. He's just out there working, doing his day-to-day job, not thinking anything about what could possibly happen to him in that situation. And then his life was taken from him just like that. Another guy on a work visa, unable to speak English, couldn't read the highway signs and the warning signs saying that, hey, the lane's closing, we're going down to one. And so now this young man who's 25 years old, a 5-month-old kid, his life's just been taken from him. And so it's a passion for me now that I've seen the Lord really work and this miracle that He's done for me to help these families. And so we're going to be helping that family. Of course, we're already helping the families of Deanne Miller, and we're helping the families of Mark Bryant, and just seeing a lot of good stuff come out of this.
And we were kind of with, or I was with you kind of at the beginning of this thing. We got together when it was really starting out. And but
So we were having those we call them immigration meetings. You remember that?
Yeah.
There's about 5 or 6 of us, but we're meeting over at the diner.
I'll tell you what, that wasn't that long ago. I mean, this has really jumped. I mean, it's really jumped off pretty big, quick. But I think it's because you're addressing the national. Arkansas is not sold. It's every state in the union. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're at the crossroads, though. We're in the middle of
30 and 40.
Yeah, we got 30, we got 40, and then you got 55 over on the east side of the state, and 67 is a major thoroughfare too.
The trucks, yeah.
And so we have a lot of trucks coming through here. And so I think and I think we're what was it, number 3 in the nation or number 5 in the nation for truck fatalities, because we are the crossroads.
Yeah.
And so we get a say, I guess, is the point that I'm making. And so even when people try to tell you that, hey, there's federal laws for that, there's federal, I'm so sick of hearing that. There's federal law for that, there's federal law for that. Well, I don't want California deciding what we're going to do in the
Hey,
state.
Shannon, real quick, I actually have that video pulled up. Y'all want to take a look at it real quick at that wreck?
Yeah, go to the Thomasville, Alabama wreck.
All right, let me switch over real quick.
While he's doing that, it seems like people get killed every day.
Oh, I know.
Doesn't it seem like an accident, a lethal accident every day?
Oh, I know there's an accident every day. Every one of them aren't getting reported. So we might not.
Can y'all see that?
No, I don't see it.
No. But
oh, well, maybe I've actually, pressed the button. Here we go. Now, can y'all see that?
I see a blank screen.
No.
Here we go. Now, can y'all see that?
No. I see a blank screen.
No.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Now, can y'all see that? Oh, you see it now?
Yeah, I see a blank screen.
No.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Now, can y'all see that? Oh, you see it now?
Yeah, I see a blank screen.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Now, can y'all see that? Oh, you see it now?
You got footage of it happening. All right, there we go.
I didn't get it. This is actually from the American Truckers
all right, there we go.
X page. I didn't get it. This is actually from the American Truckers. X page. It was bad. This is actually I cannot believe that. I don't know how anyone survived X page. It was bad. This is actually from.
We're echoing. But no, that's. I mean, what's up with that? Were they just not looking, or what? I mean, even if you can't drive a truck good, I mean.
It's just, they probably play on their phones. I've seen a lot of truckers just like that are,
yeah,
of others,
they don't see it. But that kind of stuff didn't happen like it's happening now. And don't you? And you probably know that 75% of that or more is illegal, bogus CDLs, right?
Well, here's what we know. We know they intentionally reduced the standards for licensing of commercial motor vehicle truck drivers. And so there was an intentional movement that happened in 2021 called the Biden-Harris Trucking Action Plan, where they brag about going in there and cutting the red tape and lowering the standards for the issuance of what they call just regular driver's licenses. But what we know now, that it was really a cover for the issuance on a large scale amount of these non-domicile commercial driver's licenses. And so, Keith, going back to what you were saying about when we were having our immigration meetings and we were discussing some of the FOIA requests, and you remember all that, we were kind of strategizing about how we were going to get this information. Do you remember who was there? Remember, Johnny was one of the people there. He's since passed.
Yeah, I knew that he passed. Yeah,
he passed away, and so, but yeah, he was actually one of the guys that that first sent a FOIA request for some of this information.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
And was like, hey, you can do this. And he kind of showed me how to do this and do that,
Yeah.
and we've since gone on to request a lot of information. But we at that time when we were working on all that together and we were having those meetings, I didn't even know about non-domicile CDLs. I didn't even know what a non-domicile CDL was. Had never seen one. Had never heard of them. And it wasn't until that congressman from Bryant handed me that bill at one of our Republican Party meetings, and I got into language and I saw non-domicile learner's permit and non-domicile commercial driver's license from any foreign jurisdiction, where they were trying to change Arkansas state
Tell
law.
us what non-domicile is. Most people probably don't know. I think it's probably in it. Basically, you're not a citizen, or is that what it is?
All right. So for all of my career, we hired U.S. citizens, and pretty much everybody hired U.S. citizens, and you had to be a U.S. citizen to go get a commercial driver's license. And in 2019, through actions of a federal agency called the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, not from statutory law, nobody went and, our U.S. representatives and senators didn't go and write new U.S. law saying, hey, let's give CDLs to a bunch of non-citizens. A rogue federal agency went in there and they changed guidance and they changed language that opened up the interpretation so that state DMVs could start now issuing these commercial driver's licenses to non-citizens. So again, it's one of the things I've been learning about this whole process. It's these loopholes and the abuse of these loopholes and the overreach of these federal agencies. And then it's these special interest groups, these associations that are supposed to be looking out for our best interest, but a lot of times are participating in a lot of this activity. Like in this case, for example, there was actually guidance issued from the American Trucking Association saying that, yes, in fact, it is okay for state DMVs to be issuing non-domicile CDLs based on the guidance from the FMCSA. And so what we have going on today is not something that's been common in the industry. It never even was here.
Oh.
We have a new ecosystem of truck drivers on the highways in Arkansas. That's what we've been screaming, bloody hell about all this time. It's like, hey, why are these drivers here? Who's training these drivers? Who's qualifying these drivers? Who's vetting them? What's their background check? I've got a call this week where we're investigating a non-domicile crash down in Texas where a family of 3 was killed, and the driver fled. Of course, when he ran away and he disappeared off into another country. They had to hire retired FBI agents to track this guy down. They finally tracked him down, and the only reason they were able to track him down because he come back into the country for something, and I think he'd come back in under another identity. But he comes back in. They capture him. Come to find out, they believe right now this guy's on India's most wanted list. And so these are some
Asian Indian.
Yeah, and he's a known felon. He has a known DWI. Could possibly be on one of the most wanted lists in the country of India, and he's out here driving a commercial motor vehicle. So what does that tell you? It tells you that we've got a broken system that has started, just issuing these licenses at a large scale to a bunch of people. We don't know what their intentions are. We don't know what their backgrounds are. And I don't want them driving next to my family. I don't want them driving next to your family. And I think our citizens deserve better than this. And we're fired up about it. We're getting loud about it. You're seeing us on social media. You're seeing us on national media.
Many drivers yourself that you don't want to see get hurt or killed.
Yeah.
You have under right now, don't you? I mean, you got a lot of drivers.
I have a fleet of about 110 drivers.
Yeah, I mean, the chances of something happening to one of them is pretty good the way things are going, unfortunately. Because, I mean, these people, I don't know why, I just can't understand. And it's not just this subject, it's a lot of subjects, but we're talking about this one tonight. Why these companies want to, I know it's money. It's all about money, cheap labor, right? I mean, that's basically what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, we call it labor dumping because they put so many in. It's like steel dumping. When our steel companies have protections against dumping, because if China wanted to, they could dump a bunch of steel in here and put all of our steel companies out of business. Well, the same thing can happen with labor if you have open borders. Then that's what they've done. They've dumped a bunch of labor on us, and they did it all for economic advantage.
As and we're going to talk about how I want you to talk about how our Arkansas state legislature did not help you one bit, except the one representative that ran your bill. But besides that, I don't know of any help you got through the legislature at all. And we're going to talk about that, and then I want to ask you about the Oklahoma thing. But I want to tell everybody what the legislature did to you.
Yeah, so we filed HB 1569 and felt really good about it. We had a meeting with all of our state agencies and all the state agencies that were involved with this issue. We presented the facts to them, man. Everybody was like, "Man, yeah, we can fix this." One person even said, "Hey, just give us the tools and we'll go clean this up. We're sick of it too." There's all kinds of these comments around the room.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, me and my partner Harvey, we're like, yeah, let's go get them. And we go out of the room, and the Arkansas Trucking Association had been invited to that meeting, and they were a no-show. And so when we get done with that meeting, they all kind of splinter off, and then the next day I hear that one of the ones that was so gung-ho, one of the leaders in the room, says, "Oh, this is a federal issue. We really need to stand down on this. There's another bill coming. And we're going to do that." And of course, then HB 1745 gets filed, and I would say there was a dog pile. And so, which they've been working on their bill for a while behind the scenes. That's the bill that our congressman from Bryant, brought to me, and so they've been working on it, and they piled a bunch of people on. They had the chairman of the transportation committee on it. They had my senator as a co-sponsor on the Senate side. They had the Speaker of the House on the bill. They had just anybody they could possibly get. I think there was like 10 or 12 co-sponsors with all the heavyweights kind of thrown on there to pretty much just signal to everybody, "Hey, this bill's going to pass. Don't you dare vote against it."
Very disappointing about what they did. I mean, and from what I've heard, it was, federal law is not going to support it, basically, and all that. Well, like I said, well, whether they do or not, you still got to try. I mean, if at least pass it, and if it doesn't go, okay, but at least you're there and you're showing your support for the right thing.
Here's why that's a lie. Then why couldn't it be heard in committee? Why did they do everything in their power to make sure that 1569 wasn't heard in committee? That's because they didn't want to be on record voting against it. And so the only way that they could prevent 15, they knew, just like in Oklahoma today, SB 20.
Yeah, how'd that come out?
Flew out of the House 74-13, straight down party lines. 1569 would have done the same thing in the committee in Arkansas. And so their only hope was to prevent it from ever getting to committee and from everybody hearing what's actually going on our highways. And so they were fighting to make sure that we wouldn't get to bring that message. And
So Oklahoma did pass.
The House, so it came out of committee and it passed on the House this morning.
So now it goes to the Senate.
Yeah, we've got a Senate hearing next week, or it'll go straight to the floor. So
yeah,
because this bill started in the Senate, so
Are there any other states that are getting involved with this deal of their own that you know of?
There's so many wrecks happening. I'll get people calling me every day. So I think Alabama's probably going to want to do something after this. They don't have time. What we expect to happen, what's going to happen next is these governors are probably going to write executive orders. We're going to be asking and lobbying some of these governors, especially these crash victims and these trucking companies that are being devastated.
That would be good.
Once we've got some successful, legislation, hey, what can we do here to get a piece of this, maybe by executive order? Let's get these guys off the road.
But they need to get on board, or they're going to be wearing an egg on their face, because if the federal government starts cracking down, Trump's already done one executive order, correct, for the English proficiency they got to speak and write English, correct? I don't know
Yeah. So the
enforcing
Arkansas,
the orders, but
so the Arkansas Trucking Association tells us we can't put English proficiency in our bill, HB 1569, and their bill 1745 did not include English proficiency. And so they squirm around and we go through all these committee hearings and they feed all this propaganda to everybody. And then in the 11th hour, they inject, English proficiency into their bill and they put this $500 fine, but they don't take the truck out of service. We're screaming from the mountaintops that, hey, I don't want your fine. If y'all want a fine to pay for the officers to enforce it, whatever, fine. But that's not the point of what we're trying to do here. The point of what we're trying to do here is get these people off the highway. I'm not here to raise funds for y'all. I'm here to try to increase public safety on this road and protect both our motoring public and our American truck drivers and our American trucking companies from economic damage.
oh,
And so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So in order to do that, you got to get the guys off the road. And so Donald Trump was listening. He was listening. We had calls with the office of the vice president. We've had calls with staff members of Secretary Duffy. We've had senators lobbying, U.S. senators lobbying for us up there in Washington, D.C. We had the congresswoman from Wyoming that sent the letter over. And so, the White House is getting hit from all different angles of all that stuff. Of course, then we had the Steve Bannon show and we had the Breitbart News and we had American Conservative and we had the Blaze and just everybody just pop, 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 pop. And so what you saw with Donald Trump, that executive order almost completely mirrored 1569. The English proficiency is out of service. Okay. So it's called common sense reform for the trucking industry or something like that. Donald Trump calls it common sense. So what they thought, or what they tried to tell everybody was going to pull all their federal funding. Donald Trump come out and said it's common sense. It's common sense. Okay. And then the second thing on his executive order says that that the Secretary of Transportation is to investigate all these non-domiciled CDLs that have been issued by all these DMVs, the irregularities in that. He also called for him to investigate these foreign CDLs and what's going on with those. And then he called for, and this is how you know the message is making it all the way to the desk of the president, an evaluation of the living standards of the American truck driver. And so what has all of this done to the truck driver? And I can tell you they're completely devastated. The trucking industry used to be a good profession, used to be an honorable profession. People were proud to be in it. People could make a good living. And the actions of the American Trucking Association, the Arkansas Trucking Association, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that they've taken over the last 4 and 5 years are despicable. And it has come at the direct expense of the American truck driver and of these families that have lost loved ones and have been killed. All of that could have been prevented. And our roads should be safer today than they have ever been because of technology and regulation.
But they're not.
But they're not.
So, but this is not. I mean, you're just still in the new age of doing this. I mean, you're still. I mean, you got a lot. It's going to go a lot further than it has, I'm sure, right? I mean, it's just starting, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, God did a miracle for us, and He gave us this new ground, and now we've got to protect it. So we've got the executive order. The executive order is good, but one of the problems that we have is like, what's He going to do with the drivers when they're out of service? The Oklahoma bill and HB 1569 address that. The trucks have to be impounded. They have to be put out of service, and they have to be impounded. We don't want our law enforcement officers babysitting the truck. The Arkansas Trucking Association wants them to babysit the truck because they want them to just let them go. And they know that if they make it hard on the law enforcement officers, then the law enforcement officers just won't want to mess with it, and they'll just let them go. And so
you're stopping whatever the product is in the trucks. I mean, that stops too. But you know what? They're asking for it.
We're already hearing reports where shippers are validating now that drivers can speak English before they'll give them a load. And so there's ripples starting to take place as they've already started to pull these guys over and put them out of service. I had a law enforcement officer in Oklahoma tell me that he personally put a truck out of service and told his dispatch that they need to send another driver to recover the truck.
If you want to, you might not want to say or not, are you getting any new feedback from our state of any representatives, senators, state police, or anybody?
No, it's crickets.
Highway patrol, rather.
No, but we're going to be releasing some information soon that I'll change that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know, if you're in the middle of something, I figured. But yeah, because they're going to have to get on board if everybody else gets on board. And if Oklahoma passes this, will they be the first state that you know of?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Arkansas doesn't count because the thing that they did with the English proficiency fine is a joke, and so
That's what
Oklahoma
that is. That 17. It did pass, but tell us what that does. What it's do. It's not doing anything, but what it's supposed to do.
So they're dancing around saying that they've got a problem with fraudulent Mexican CDLs. They do. There is a problem with fraudulent Mexican CDLs, and I would say if we know there's corruption in a commercial driver's licensing system, then why are we allowing any of them up here? And so they're wanting to band-aid it because they want their cheap labor. They don't want to protect our highways. They want to protect their cheap labor over the safety of our highways. So they want to put a band-aid on and say, oh, well, if we catch one of these guys through this paperwork and this paperwork and this paperwork, then we'll put a felony on a non-citizen, on somebody from Mexico, okay? And he'll probably never pay his fine. He'll probably never show up for court.
They're not arrested. They're not arrested.
Just like in the case of the Scott Miller crash, and just like in the case of the Mark Bryant crash, both of those guys got slaps on the wrist. They got misdemeanors for killing people, and they got let go. I'll give you a perfect example. There's a guy right now in Florida that's on a work visa. He's from Ethiopia. He couldn't speak English. He killed 2 highway workers standing on the side of the road, run over them, killed them, kept going. It was a hit and run, okay? They get the guy. There's video today. You can go on YouTube and pull this up. But there's video today of this guy in the courtroom, unable to speak English or refusing to speak English, whatever it is. But he was harassing the sheriff's deputies and all them. Hey, I need y'all to let me go so I can go get on a plane and get out of this country. Okay, so there's no accountability for all of these bad actors, and so they're saying, so what about that guy? So they're wanting to charge him with a crime. He's killed 2 people. Okay, what about the guy that's for LaDonya Bryant? What about the guy for Scott Miller? They've killed people and they've already been released and they're already gone. And so don't tell me you're going to charge them with a felony when they don't even live here and you can't even hold them accountable to pay their fines. No, what we need to do is as soon as we encounter these people, we need to jerk them out of the seat and we need to impound the truck and shut the truck down and let them fend for themselves on how they're going to get back and let that company have to come up here and get that truck out of impound.
Mm-hmm. And try them and send their ass back.
Yeah, and so
they need to be out of the country too. And again, if they've committed a crime, if they've killed people, they need to have an answer for that. But if they haven't done that yet and they catch them, they need to get on the Trump train back to wherever they're from.
Impound the truck and have ICE pick them up. And then, on 1569, we had criminal statutes in 1569 to address to make sure that if somebody was killed or hurt in a major accident, that they would get adequate jail time. And of course, we didn't advance. Of course, they didn't put that in 1745. They didn't put anything about non-domiciled CDLs in 1745 to stop them or outlaw them. They were trying to legalize
it down. Yeah, to get rid of yours, they watered one down to get rid of yours, so they could say, "Oh, well, we're not having that one, but we're doing this one." But all they're doing is watering it down to where it doesn't make the ATA mad. Which Arkansas and American Trucker Association, same thing, and it's just a matter of being state or federal, or national.
The 1745 actually included trying to legalize. They were trying to change our state law to allow non-domiciled learners permits and non-domiciled CDLs, and we embarrassed them so bad on social media that they had to pull that out. Mm-hmm. And so they still want that. They've got carriers who are using these non-domiciled CDLs, and in their association, they've got carriers over there that are using these B1s. And the reason you've seen stuff advance over in Oklahoma more so than in Arkansas is they're not trying to protect anybody. all of their carriers over there are pretty good players and are doing things the right way. We've got a trucking association that's been captured by a bunch of bad players doing things the wrong way, and they're setting policy for our highways in the state of Arkansas. And they've been captured at the American Trucking Association. They've got people in there with illegal behaviors in their association, on their boards, helping to set policy and direct policy. And because of that, our highways are less safe. And so we shouldn't be tolerating that at all. Not only as an industry, but as a state, we should be holding them accountable.
Let me ask you this. Now these drivers, they're contracted or work for whatever they are, American companies, right? Or are they American companies mostly?
It's both. It's what I mean. A lot of these people are non-citizens. Our borders have been wide open, and so there are so many people here that aren't properly credentialed and identified. Right. Yeah, and so these guys they're starting companies, they're driving for companies, and then you also have some of these drivers who are working for legitimate enterprises, and that's what I was talking about. You would be surprised. There's some big players in Arkansas trucking who we have documented proof are participating in this non-domicile mess.
But what I'm saying, I guess what I'm asking is if they get down to where they can arrest these people, what 1569 was supposed to do, if we get into the federal government starts really cracking down where this is working, they still got a lot of work to do to get all these people off. Just like sending all these illegals back, it takes time. There's so damn many of them. So what I'm saying is, if they arrest, can they not? Will they, do you think, ever be able to go to the company, punish the company too, if it's an American company that did this?
Earlier you were asking about we're just getting started. We are just getting started, and so we're going to be focused on legislation for just that point. The guys who are responsible for hiring these people, the guys who are loading these people, the guys who are brokering to these people. Can we take them head on with legislation? And I think we can. Yeah,
because I mean that would make it a lot easier to pursue if you can punish them too. Make it not worth their while, not make it where it's not worth their while to go do this.
Wouldn't you like to see us stand up and debate like one of these large shippers about this issue? Like what's their excuse? Cheap labor? That's not going to work. That's in Arkansas Trucking Association. That was their excuse. They were walking around the halls whispering about economics. We're gonna have to give drivers a raise. Heaven forbid that we pay our drivers a living wage. And so the truck drivers are being squeezed. The Arkansas Trucking Association is pushing for them to be squeezed, and just we need to be doing something about it.
Well, this 4 or 5 year period that this has been really going on, I'm sure there's always been somewhere, but really it happened with Biden and Harris's arrangement, whatever it was. And but in 4 or 5 years, things can get awful out of control, just like our border did in that amount of time. I mean, so it's going to take a long time to correct this now. It's so far out of control. Even if you start head on the right way and we get laws enacted and all that, it's still going to take time to round all these folks up. But at least it'll be a start.
Yeah, it's a bullwhip for sure. You're talking about the American Trucking Association and it all being the same thing. Oklahoma, even though we're passed in the House and we've come out of committee and we've got all the support around the state, we come out with a strong vote on the House. They still are no support. That they're neutral, so they're not against us and they're not for us. And so, what is that? I can tell you what it is. It's the American Trucking Association telling the Oklahoma Trucking Association what they're supposed to do instead of them doing what's best for their constituents. Because the motor carriers that we're representing in that state have been very clear with all these representatives exactly what's been going on. They've been very clear, they've been giving him in Oklahoma the same message that we've been giving them here in Arkansas, and they just ignore us.
They have it's they're the mother, the American Trucker Association, just the mother. That's all their affiliates. They control all these chapters, state chapters. It's kind of like I'm not getting off on this, but kind of like the American Library Association. You know, they have all these state associations. It's just their associations, just down to a smaller level. That's all. They totally control them.
Yeah.
But so you've been busy with this, and haven't you?
Oh man, way too busy. And I've got young kids, so
I
it's
know.
been, and I'm running a fleet. I've got a full-time day job, and so, but I hope the my I don't know how to say it. I enjoy this. I want everybody to know that's watching this. I'm enjoying this.
Like,
So there's a
like
lot. There's a lot more coming.
well, good, and it'll be soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because every day things are changing, correct? And you really got, Shannon's got a website, American Truckers United, that anybody can go on and look through it, and it pretty well tells the story. Besides what you're saying now, if somebody wants to go to your website, and your partner is
Harvey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they can go there and you can donate. They can always use help with that, and just really, if you go to it and read up on it, it really tells the story. Tells it. You always have on the new accidents that are killing people and stuff, no matter where they are in the nation. So, just like the one that Kevin had on there, that's happening all the time. So,
oh, here's your webpage right here. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Anybody
okay.
can. We want drivers to sign up. We're really trying to build up a membership base of drivers and motor carriers. We've done a real fantastic job of that. We have over 4,000 trucks now.
Oh wow.
Inside of our group, and we have over 3,000 drivers, and so, but just still, we want more concerned citizens and drivers to sign up and just allow us to advocate for you and crash victims. That's where my heart's really at. With
Sure.
If there's anybody out there that's praying and looking for some answers and wanting somebody to fight on your behalf, that's us. We want to go to war for you, and we're going to do it in the name of the Lord.
Yeah, because those are innocent people.
Right.
That are a product of a greedy government, greedy associations, greedy. They don't care. They just don't care. They can't care. If they had cared, they wouldn't do it, and they would have already done something about it. But and it's a shame that we have to go through it. And there's a lot. It's going to take a long time to clean all these messes up that I'm not going to call him President Biden. Biden helped start.
Okay.
And whoever was the real president behind him, because he. But Shannon, I appreciate you coming on and laying it out for us. Like I said, you can keep track of his website, American Truckers United, and you can even watch some of these national shows coming on. He's been popping up on those, and that gives you some tremendous. I mean, because this is a national problem, and they're not going to do anything about it here until. A lot of problems we can solve here in this state. We can get legislation or what have you, but this one's so big that they're going to ignore it till they can't. And the only way that's going to happen is for national attention. Because as long as they're, and if it was just our county or our state, they wouldn't do anything. I don't think.
Yeah, and I would just say, like our story, I know we don't have a lot of time here, but our story in this has really been this grassroots, how God used two guys with a heart to just love on some truck drivers and love on some crash victims, and just willing to be a vessel and kind of move out here and do some stuff. So I'll just encourage everybody, like what we had going on in Saline County was a good thing, and I know it hit a wall with some craziness with a couple members, but but that's necessary. That whole grassroots
Mhm.
organization and being a part of the
Absolutely.
political process. We need that. We need that throughout our state. We need more people to speak up. We need more people to get involved. And I'm just I guess I'm probably more motivated now than I've ever been in my life to be able to get to see that actually not work and then work and not work, and the highs and the lows of all that process,
Yeah.
kind of seeing how a bill works and how it gets through, and seeing a defeat and then immediately getting a win. And, it's just, you don't ever know what God's doing.
That's right.
And we just gotta have faith and keep taking the steps where we feel like he's calling us to, and let him open the doors and
He does it,
knock
but not necessarily in our time, right? Doesn't always
yeah,
happen exact
this
our
was
time.
the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
We thought Arkansas was everything. We gotta get this, we gotta get this, we gotta get this, and we just defeat after defeat after defeat after defeat, and then now we just see victory, victory, victory. So
I have faith it's going to work. I have faith we're going to get the trucking industry back on its feet.
I do too. I do too, and
Yeah, and
I have faith we're gonna get the trucking industry where it needs to be, and we're gonna get the people that have or that are responsible for this. We're gonna hold them accountable too.
Yeah. And you're doing good work, doing great work. And I know from the beginning you it's not been easy, and you've done a lot of you've risked a lot to do it. I mean, you had
you
a
have.
battle, and it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing, and we appreciate
It does, but it gets really easy. The closer you draw to the Lord, the easier the courage gets.
Absolutely, because He's with you. Because wrong is wrong, and this is wrong. There's no way you can say there's anything right about what's going on. No, there's no possible way.
No, they can't defend it, so you won't see them debate us. You'll see them hide behind closed doors
And
and
lie.
whisper. They squirm around, lying and whispering.
If you had one on this show right now, if we had another person on this show that say was from the American Trucking Association or something, they'd sit there and be lying their rear off. They'd be lying. They'd act like it ain't happening. You could show them the trucks, and they'd say, well, they would just lie. Just don't see it. Well, they know it, but they just don't. They just hide from it. They can't. If you can't do anything but lie about it, means you're wrong. If you can't have anything behind you of facts,
Well, here's the deal. There's a lot of good companies and a lot of good people running
Sure.
those companies inside of that organization. Those are my brothers and my sisters.
Sure.
And they are really good people. But somehow we have allowed a group of whose visions and beliefs and I guess immigration views don't align with the majority of the very conservative trucking industry population.
Yeah.
And
because the truckers are conservative, and the truckers, when they get tired of it, or when they know they have support, people like you, because as they get support, they're going to be braver about coming out. And when they come out, they usually come out hard.
So we're going to continue to rally these drivers who are not being represented by that malign view. The leadership of these associations do not represent the truck drivers. Yeah, and the drivers are furious about that. And so I'm sure there's going to be a lot come out of that as this continues to advance of how can all of these companies continue to align against their drivers.
Yeah, because I see on your, you have some on Facebook or on the American Truckers United, you have a lot of, I see guys on there that are truckers from other states, other places that come on there and are videoing themselves, and they're talking what you're saying. And I feel that what you're doing allows them their courage to come out and say, hey, I'm not the only one that this has happened, that's feeling this way, so then it starts growing and growing to where something can be done.
That's right. Your courage is contagious.
They think they're alone. We're all like that. That's just human nature. If we're alone, we kind of keep our mouth. We might just say, nobody else is seeing what I'm seeing, I guess, But when you find out there are, Kind of like when we had we have Arkansas First News, things like that. When there's other people thinking the same way, you pull together, and that makes the power. And with the following the Lord with it. So I appreciate you being on, and we'll be seeing you. It's been good, and we're at Arkansas. Everybody needs to check out Arkansas First News also. We're on Facebook, have a website. We're Saline County Hardliners. We're Saline Hardliners at on Facebook. Just look up Saline Hardliners, you'll see our show. And just support Arkansas First. Support American Truckers United, Shannon's effort, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Hardliners out.